If you are trying to buy a home, you know it is ugly out there with sky-high housing prices and high interest rates to match. But I want to show you some numbers that can show you just how ugly it is. CNBC reports the median home sale price is now $428,700,000. Okay, that's a lot of money. That's up 40% since 2020 when the median was $329,000. When banks figure out how much they will loan you, lenders are going to want you to have an annual salary of about $114,000 a year to buy an average house in America. Well, the U.S. Census says the average household makes $67,000 a year. There's a gap. A big gap, okay? So the Department of Housing and Urban Development has launched HUD on the Road to address the housing crisis. Housing and Urban Development Secretary Marcia Fudge has been visiting communities to talk about more affordable housing. So I am so thrilled to have Secretary Fudge join me right now in studio. Madam Secretary Fudge is here, and we're going to talk about all of the issues. Secretary Fudge, first of all, thank you for coming in and being with us. I mean, we just laid it out. Housing prices are up. Interest rates are up. I'm a renter. Rent is up. Okay, way up. That makes it very hard, if not impossible, to buy a home. So what is your department doing to combat that?
Let me first say thank you, but also say that when times are difficult like they are today, people fall back on the government, so they come to us. And we have some things that we think are going to be helpful. We're doing HUD on the Road so people will know what is available to them. One of the things we don't think about when we think about the housing crisis, which in fact, housing is more expensive today than it has been in decades, and that be mortgage and or renting. But we are doing some things that I think are going to be helpful. So we are trying to encourage new home starts and preserving current housing, because the real problem is supply and demand. As long as there is not enough supply, the housing prices are going to continue to go up. So we have to build housing, and we have to preserve the ones we have.
Are you concerned about unhoused people and the potential for the growth in that area?
Let me tell you what breaks my heart. The fastest growing group of people who are sleeping on our streets today are single, senior Black women. And the second largest group is families with small children. So yes, I'm concerned. Anytime you have hundreds of thousands of people sleep on the street every day, and because the prices are going up so much, it is pushing more and more people to the streets, not because they are mentally ill, not because they are sick, not because they're on drugs, because they can't afford to live. So we're trying to create an environment in which we can help people build assets, create an environment in which we can make people more creditworthy. We are saying to developers and builders, we're going to fill that gap that you are finding that you can't fill right now.
The gap in terms of...
The gap in terms of them making money and building a house.
Yes. Now, I heard, and by heard, I mean I read, because I do read, that the administration is going to help people with down payments.
Listen, the president is so in tune to what is going on today, so he has already requested $100 million in down payment assistance. We have basically neutralized student debt, which most Black and brown and poor people find themselves being we say they're uncreditworthy because they have all this debt, but we've basically neutralized that. We have created a 40-year mortgage so that people who are having difficulty staying in their homes now can refinance for 40 years. We put that arrearage on the back end so they can stay in their homes. We are doing everything we know to do. But the big things that we're doing is encouraging people to build by making resources accessible. So we're saying to housing finance agencies and states, look, you could loan money to developers almost at cost. We're saying we're going to increase the Housing Trust Fund, which is a fund that we use to help people build low-income housing. We're talking about low-income housing tax credits. We're doing all that we can to say that.
This is with the Housing Authority.
This is with, that is correct.
I want to ask you about the D.C. Housing Authority. I know recently that your department did an audit of D.C. Housing Authority, and you found some disturbing things. It said that the D.C. Housing Authority failed to provide decent, safe, and sanitary housing for residents in its public housing and housing choices voucher programs. Is there anything that HUD can do about this?
HUD can do a lot about it, and that's why we are right now starting to have some discussions with the city, because people think that we run the housing authorities. Cities actually run the
Okay, make it plain now. Clear it up for the streets.
We provide resources for them to operate, but we don't run them. So we do these audits so we can go in and say to our residents and our people, look, we are concerned about your safety, and we are not going to allow people to live in unsafe conditions. We're not going to allow people to live with mold and mildew and rodents. That is not who I am. That is not who HUD is. And so we're going to do our part to make sure that if they can't get it fixed, then we can take action.
You're going to take action. I know we have to go, but I don't think a lot of people know that your department, Housing and Urban Development, plays a role in hurricane recovery.
Absolutely.
And so Puerto Rico obviously was hit by Hurricane Fiona. You've got Hurricane Ian devastated Florida, the Carolinas. What exactly is HUD's role in hurricane recovery?
We actually do the recovery. People think about FEMA. FEMA are first responders. We then come in for the long haul. We're the ones who come in and take care of housing. We're the ones who come in and make sure that businesses are built back up. We're the people who actually do that. So if you just think about it this way, over the last 2 years, we've already put out $5 billion to assist communities like Puerto Rico, like the Virgin Islands, like New Orleans. All of those things come from us. And we've also said to our mayors and our partners on the local level, you can use your community development block grant money for these same purposes so that you have some flexible resources to get started. Because what happens is when we can't start soon enough, and this is the other thing, Simone, that I just have to say, more people of color are hurt by these storms than not. Because we happen to live in those kinds of, you know, the cancer alleys. We live in the flood zones. We live by the water. We are affected at huge rates. And so we need to make sure that our folks get what's due them.
Get what they need. Oh, I could do this all day, Secretary Fudge. The Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Marcia Fudge, thank you for coming to the table today. Appreciate you so much.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it as well.
Thank you.